Alright, floor 8. We're getting closer. We're about 2/3 through the dungeon now, and it's only going to get harder from here. I think around floor 6 or 7 you kind of get a real taste for the way the game's going to be treating you for the rest of your playthrough, but I find things get their absolute nastiest by floors 10, 11, 12. 12 is always really, really scary, because that's when they really don't give you anything in terms of dust. I mean, they do, but, like, you know, it is pretty seldom that the game will just hand you a full room worth of dust, whereas early on it's a little more, well, a fair amount more common. So, just gonna do our usual strategy. We're gonna head on in, place down some major modules where we can, and let Hikansha do her operate-y business. I don't want to set up defenses just yet. Right here we have a very positive steel effect. It's all operators, which basically makes it so that all of our characters can operate, and I think it also gives you a whip bonus. I wasn't looking at the description there. I'm not being the most observant at the moment, but yeah, I think it gives you a wit bonus, so Hikansha might be giving us a little more industry per turn due to that thing. Maybe, maybe not, I don't know. But then we got another one right here for health regen, which is... it could be useful for in combat situations. You know, if we really need to heal, we can kind of run away, let our health recharge a little bit, and then jump back into the fray. So... I was judging there whether to go for smoking gun just to get it researched or to upgrade our industry. I think I decided to save up enough science for the industry 3 though, because, you know, in the end you gotta have the industry. And yeah, we could probably do okay with just industry 2, but it never hurts to have more. And right here we got the Soul Taker, which is a pretty decent sword weapon, but considering we have what was it called? Occam's Blade. Occam's something. Just really good kind of top tier sword as the sword weapons go. We don't need to switch it out. It doesn't really do anything better than our curtain. It's Occam's Gouge? I think it's Occam's Gouge. It doesn't really do anything better than that weapon. And here we gotta deal with the Christophiles. I did check, and they are actually called Christophiles. They like their crystals. And there we had a Herna Shaman. There are certain enemies that buff or debuff, you know, buff other enemies, or they debuff your heroes, and I'm pretty sure that among them the Silic supporters, those kind of red crystal guys who do AoE damage, and the Herna Shamans, they both have aspects to them that has to do with that. I'm not sure exactly what. I'm pretty sure it's, you know, either lowering your defenses or heightening enemy defenses or lowering your attack power. I don't know, but it's unpleasant. It can be a pain in the butt. And here we have a new, more elite type of the Herna Hunters, I guess. I think the Hunter guys are the ones with the axes and shields. They're the nasty melee-based ones that always go after your heroes. They're basically the anti-hero units. And right there we got a negative steel, the weak crystal. I think I explained that one previously. Basically, our crystal is going to be in danger if we get hit, which is not that good, because I don't think we have any more doors we can open along that pathway, so we're going to have to open a new door. So I'm just setting up Hikansha with a couple extra defenses in case she needs to deal with a bunch of guys at once, and Jolari's gonna probably head through one of the other crystal room connected doors in a sec here, as soon as I decide whether or not I'm gonna put something down here right now. What am I gonna do? What am I doing? Nope. I guess I decided against it for now. Yeah, apologies in advance if there's some quiet times. I'm not gonna try and like force myself to commentate over every little second of the video, because, you know, I don't want to force it. But there may be some points where I'm just kind of sitting there wondering whether or not it's a good idea to place something. And right there I did decide that now that I could power all of the dark rooms, there wasn't really a risk of enemies breaking down our major modules, so I plopped one down there. Just got some extra food. But the funny thing is, I don't think we actually have really any enemies spawning in this dungeon that directly would attack your major modules, at least if I remember right. Those bug creatures, I think they have the ability to blow themselves up, and that can damage some of your structures, but not really nearly enough to be, or nearly consistently enough to be damaging to your stuff on a major scale. So I just kind of let our modules take care of those guys there. But yeah, as soon as you get, you know, 1 or 2 rooms in, you've got pretty much enough room, enough space, and enough slots to set yourself up a decent sort of basis for keeping enemies away without having to rely solely on your heroes, so you don't have to, you know, chase after enemies and all that. I mean, right here, perfect example of that. They're beating each other up. Even the guys who, you know, ignore everybody else and go straight for the crystal, they're even getting hit by the pepper spray, and instead of going for the crystal, they turn right around and start beating up everybody else. It's great. You gotta love it. Also, I think I got that repetition struggle line from Jolari more times on this playthrough than I ever had in all my time playing this game. It's because she's our only door opener, I would say. So, and that's really her only quote when she opens doors. I think everybody only really has, you know, one unique quote that they'll use occasionally. It happens in this case that I think at least once or twice Jolari just says that, you know, twice in a row for like every door she opens. She'll just keep saying it. It's kind of funny, but, you know. And right here I am kind of having to do a little bit of running back and forth to get to the artifacts, research stuff. That's the one negative, and I think this might come up later on in the playthrough. Actually, not this playthrough, but a previous attempt that I did at this run. I had Elise Ness, and Elise is a much heavier sort of... she's a, you know, heavy weapon character. She's got a machine gun going on. She's very defensive, but she's also very slow. I had a situation where I had to keep one character, I think it was maybe Nurse Dina or maybe Sarah Numis. It was somebody, but they were much better operator. It might not have been either of those, but they were much better operator than Elise, so I was having Elise run around and be my exploration person, which is a terrible idea, because every time I wanted to research something, I had to walk all the way from one side of the dungeon to the other because of the position of the artifact. So I would want to research something, I would get enough points, and I would look where it was and where she was, and I'd be like, alright, time to point her to this room, and then sit down for like 5 minutes while she crawls over there. It was not the best. Fortunately, that run didn't make it very far. I think I made it to like floor 3, and then everything just went downhill, and I lost my heroes. But right there we just got a toothpick, but still not as strong as our Crutchy, our weapon Crutchy. Crutchy's pretty good. Probably my favorite spear weapon is the fire pick, I think it's called. That's probably one of the strongest ones. Right here we got Golgi Fortiver, I think her name is. Golgi is an inmate and I think like a thief who believes that she's actually a spider. And she actually has an ability that's called Web Sling or something like that, but it lays down webs on the floor of the room that she's currently inhabiting, and any enemies that pass through that room get like a percentage speed decrease. I think it's pretty significant, like 75%. So she kind of has like a mobile neuro stun. It only works for like 8 seconds, but it's pretty cool. But whereas she thinks she's spinning webs to trap her enemies, I think she just has like a bunch of canisters of glue that she's throwing all around the room. It's like, in reality, she's not a spider at all, but she's thoroughly convinced that she is, so she has, like, all of these spider-themed abilities. To fight people, she just kind of kicks and punches them, and, she's okay. I think offensively she does a pretty decent amount of damage, but I never used her enough to really notice. I don't spend a lot of time on her character, just because... I don't know. She's a weird character. I feel like, from my experience, my past experiences with her, I don't remember if she can wear armor or not, but I just remember her being... No, she can't carry weapons, that's it. I just don't remember her being super effective for me. She might be very effective. I've seen people who really, really like Golgi, but, you know. It's just a matter of, preference, and I like a lot of other characters a little more than I like Golgi. I don't know what her second ability is. She could have something pretty neat. I never really spent a lot of time. I never invested a lot of food in leveling her up when I did get her. Yeah, I just don't want to overload any of the lanes that I'm currently working on here, so I'm trying to place a little bit of defense in all of them, so that whatever does happen to spawn there can be held back at least long enough for me to, you know, if there's an emergency, run over to take care of whatever's going on. But you might notice I do get a little bit relaxed. I get a little bit more relaxed depending on the enemies that are spawning in. You know, a lot of the time, if there's just a couple enemies that, you know, just a hero on their own could probably handle otherwise, I'll just let the security in my rooms, or the defenses in my rooms, take care of them. Like this guy. I think I literally just let him whittle down. Yep. And he's gone. And that what you were seeing there was the tactical map. I didn't explain that, but if you hit T, you just get an overview of the full map as it is, you know, at the current moment. It shows you where any heroes are, recruited or otherwise, where the crystals are, the steels are, steels, I don't know. But, it's pretty handy in a bind, and, you know, if you don't want to keep clicking to the next rooms to keep your crystal carrier going, we just lost our merchant there. If you don't want to have to, like, you know, pan the camera all the way to the crystal room, you can also just use the tactical map once you've picked up the crystal, and then just click on the point of the map. It's pretty intuitive. You can actually also place, you can place modules from the tactical map, so... And it gives you little indicators to show you how many slots are available in any given room. So that's pretty handy. Tactical map is a very nice feature. And like you saw there, it shows little red blips to see how many enemies are in any given room at any given time. Like, if you're in trouble and you don't know, you know, where your priorities are as far as where you want to be defending the most with your heroes, you can just check on there and see where, like, the biggest blob of incoming enemies is coming from, and go over there to hold them off for a little bit. And we got an EMP. Where was it? Right there in Hikensho's room. And we don't have any defenses on those rooms north of her, so I'm gonna want to help her out there. I'm sorry about checking the artifacts a lot in here. I'm not sure why I was. Like, I was just checking every turn to see, like, is there anything new here, or can I afford the next upgrade? But I think I even knew while I was playing, like, I can't afford the next upgrade, but I'm just gonna check that those upgrades are still there. I mean, it's not as though any of them change regardless, you know. They're pretty much... I think the game keeps the same upgrades for as long as... you know, as long as you need to afford the next one. You can spend some science to change the upgrades that are available if you just don't like any of them, or they're too expensive. And I think if I haven't done that yet, I probably do that later on in this playthrough. But yeah, I mean, usually the thing is, if you want to reset the research options, you have to pay a science fee that is constantly raising for every turn that you go into. So, and the reason I moved Hikenshaw off of the EMP'd room was because EMPs, as you can see, do also affect the major module in that room. So, you know, we've got some industry generators in those rooms, but they're not going to be generating any industry for us for a while. Basically until the EMPs wear off. So, but yeah, I'm going to have Jolari defend this room right here just to make sure that nothing gets through. Unfortunately, I think these guys are probably going to get through here. But luckily we do have our Herna pal to help us fight them. I swear, you gotta love that brainwash. It's really funny. Just for a split second, they turn on your side, just help you out. It really is funny how late game, if you have the right setups, you get very casual with your gameplay. You'll just kind of sit there with a monster and then we're like, he's brainwashed, I don't need to worry about it. Or you'll start opening like 3 or 4 doors at a time. It's like, yeah, no big deal. And there's Rakia. She's Arakia. She's a heavy-duty smoker and also a very effective early game operator. She gets her operation abilities and repair ability both very early on. I think like within level 2 or 3, maybe even level 1, she might have her operate ability. I don't think that's actually true, but regardless, she gets her stuff quite considerably early compared to a lot of the other operator characters, so I would definitely recommend her as a good choice if you're looking for operation from like just very early on in the game. Right there, Golgi just takes care of some of the enemies for us. I do appreciate that even if you haven't recruited heroes, they will defend the room that you find them in. It can be very helpful, you know, it's just one of those little benefits that you get, and, you know, chances are they're not going to survive super long, but especially if you have a lot of hordes spawning in that area, like we had with Mitzi. She did not last very long when we got a particularly large horde, and we almost didn't survive. Jolari was like, I think just an inch away from death. Like, we got very, very lucky that I reacted in time for that, because could have been curtains, not only for Jolari, but for this playthrough, because you lose her, then, you know, you could lose pretty much everything. And right here we have, I believe, our first dust merchant. So this guy deals in dust, which can be very, very risky. You really don't want to spend dust if, you know, you already don't have all of your rooms powered. And even if you have extra dust, you never know if you're going to need more. So really you want to wait until the end of any given floor before you start dealing with a dust merchant if you're going to be buying from them. You know, if you have a little extra and you can get to the elevator room without too much struggle, then you can maybe spend a couple extra dust. But in the case if you're selling items, though, to get more dust, I mean, go nuts, because it's very helpful. And it just so happened that the last room that we opened in this floor here was the exit room. That's the other thing you have to be very careful about, is you don't want to what am I trying to say? Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is just sometimes you have to be so cautious about you know, how you spend your resources, how you do all this different stuff, because you never know when you're going to get a floor that's just, you're going to have the worst luck with finding the exit room. You're going to have to explore the whole entire dungeon before you find it. My infirmary pod run was like that, where pretty much within the last 2 or 3 doors that I opened, I finally found the exit. And I can tell you, you know, going on floor 12 and having to explore the whole thing when, you know, you're in kind of dire straits is a very scary experience, because you don't know how much longer you can hold out. Any door you open could be pretty much the end for you. So right here, we're just gonna hold out, see what's going on with the enemies, see how long they can last before they break through and start coming for us. Should be moderately soon, I think. But it'll be fun while we're watching. I actually, you'll see in a sec here, I make a really funny decision. I take a Kensha, I go to Dust Merchant. I'm like, hey, you know, I don't need any of this dust. I'm like one room away from the exit, so I'm gonna buy literally all of these and power off the whole floor. I have 16 dust left on my crystal, and I exit the room. Bought everything from the guy. Unfortunately, half that didn't carry over because you can only carry 4 items in your backpack. The rest gets left behind, but it was fun anyways. Anyways, that's it for the episode, so thanks for watching, everybody. Take care.